Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who knows you should never pick the Chiefs to beat the Bills in the regular season. Kyle, how's it going?
Doing fantastic. Fun day of sports, and listen, my soccer team won, my football team won today, so feeling pretty good.
Okay, this is good news. Yeah, we had a crazy World Series game last night. All of that stuff. Some bad news. Some important news. To the everyone who has been watching or listening, this will be the last season of the On the Sideline podcast. Kyle's gonna be moving on to bigger and better things after this. So whether it's we'll see what we do. I might try to do something myself or bring someone else on, but this will be Kyle's last season. So, fortunately, Kyle's going to stay on for the whole season. So we still have a full year, still have the rest of the year for Kyle. But, yeah, I'll just say right now, Kyle, thanks for everything you have done for these, it'll be 6 seasons of doing this. It's been an absolute blast, week after week.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a privilege, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone, the loyal listeners and all that, and I'm looking forward to seeing the channel continue to progress and all that. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if you can pull a Clayton Kershaw and win going out back-to-back champs.
That is still a possibility at this point. We're not picking very well, so I think it's going to come down to whoever picks last.
Yeah, we have been missing our locks left and right on the show. But again, we will, we will still be, show will be going on as normal for the remainder of the season. So, Kyle, let's get into the show itself. Let's start off with, and this is the rough transition. The more bad news is now we have to talk about Seahawks balls.
This was a rough game. And then obviously it got even more rough, and we got to talk about the end of it because 7 minutes left. Jaden Daniels, his arm didn't seem to be looking too good. He walks off in an air cast. That's obviously, I think, the bigger overall story in this one. But, I do want to do a little positive takeaway from this game first, which is this Seattle Seahawks team is really, really impressive. I mean, they were pressuring Jaden Daniels. I think they said on 54% of his dropbacks through the first 3 quarters. I mean, this defensive line is just a bunch of menaces when they have, Williams and Byron Murphy and all these guys on the defensive line. They're just really, really difficult to manage. And all of those guys are really impressive. And, I came away from this game looking at the Seahawks like this is a team that could make the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Really impressive game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's just, what has Seattle not done this season when they've been playing? I mean, they do everything so well. The one thing you kind of critique is the secondary receivers, but it feels like there's someone new every week stepping up. And when Jackson Smith-Njigba is always open, who needs secondary receivers? I mean, it's every facet of the game right now. They're just playing at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, everything's looking really good. They run the ball, they block well, they have a quarterback who is just on time and on target with almost everything except for one throw today. And then, like you said, they have this elite receiver who, I mean, it just is what it is at this point. Like he just reminds me a lot of like prime Travis Kelce as far as like zone busting capabilities, to the point where he's always open. He is just always open, and he does it in the receiver's body with receiver speed. So you also can't play man against him because he gets separation in man too. So he is probably right now in my top 3 receivers in the league. I think he is unbelievable. I think he's right up there with Chase and Jefferson. And yeah, he's been amazing this season. He had another third of the catches this week, and continues to put up offensive player of the year level numbers.
Yeah, it's always tough when you do the top 3 or top 5 receivers, because then it's also like, oh yeah, Nakua's in there. Like, you always have to do it. I think I'm probably with you though. I think Smith-Njigba isn't that 3 if I have to go with it. Kyle, whenever you say something like, oh, Jackson Smith-Njigba is better than DK Metcalf, I'm just going to agree with you from now on. I just, we only get half season left of those great takes, but I gotta just say yes.
That one's aged really well. I've had some crazy ones out here on this show for sure, but I think that one, I think I could take a victory lap with that one at this point.
Another thing as well, this would take we both had. Commanders, we thought they did not do enough to help out their team last year. Last year they made the conference championship game, and I felt they kind of sat on a lot of stuff. Like the secondary, they did draft a corner in the second round, but it's kind of all they did. They could have moved off of Lattimore, saved some money, tried to spend it elsewhere. They ultimately kind of just assume an extra year will get these guys to gel better, and it just has not. I mean, Sam Darnold, 330 yards on 24 attempts in this game. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's if you took off 100 yards of his total and had the same amount of attempts, he's still almost 10 yards per attempt. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's a team that was able to make it work last season, in part because they played Tampa Bay, who had no defense, and Detroit, who had no defense. Here, though, when you have a team that can slow down your offense to some degree, it's just there's nothing else. Like, people are blaming Jaden Daniels. What in the world is this guy supposed to do to try and win a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, he's running for his life. And that's also the defense isn't playing well. They're not blocking well. They're the oldest team in the league, and they play like the oldest team in the league. I don't like it a lot about this roster right now. And yeah, I thought it was a very, very poor offseason, and it looked like it. The defense, I mean, Darnold was 16 for 16, I think, in the first half of this game, and he was like 17 yards per attempt. Yeah. I think Amos made a couple decent plays, and I kind of like some of the things he can do, but it's just easy pickings against this team. Any smart offensive coordinator, any smart play caller is going to look at this team and target whoever they want. They got a couple decent players, but there's just way too many weaknesses in a weakling sport, especially defense in the modern NFL.
Yeah. We have a super chat. Your channel is seriously fantastic, man. Hope it continues to grow. Well, I appreciate that. And I think that's including Kyle. Kyle, you're part of the channel.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Yeah. Kyle, let's move on. Maybe we'd spend a little bit longer a typical week, but this was a great week. This was the opposite. Mm-hmm. If you had pumpkin patch week, this one, first off, a little late after Halloween, but also you're regretting it now with this, because this was a fantastic one. Let's start off with the Chiefs Bills, a game that was billed, no pun intended, as the kind of the headliner here. It always is when these two teams play. And for a while, it looked like it was not going to live up to the hype. The Bills were just really playing great on both sides of the football. Maxwell Harrison, who ended up having maybe to play at a game late with the pick, he was definitely a force in this one. Ultimately, the Chiefs pull off a 4th and 17, then convert a 4th and 1 to bring it to a one-score game. They get the ball back, but Mahomes throws a pick. The Bills go for a field goal and miss it, giving the Chiefs one last chance for a Hail Mary. Aren't able to convert. The Bills were the better team in this one. The Chiefs showed why they're still the Chiefs. They find ways to stay in games, but last year they were finding ways to win games. 5-4 midway through the season here at the halfway point. The Chiefs, if the season ended today, would not make the postseason.
Yeah, not make the postseason indeed. And it's been a very up and down thing. Like, I watched this game, and I mean, first of all, I do have to say, I think at this point, like yearly, if you just go for like any, people love to pulling up the rivalry games, what's the best rivalries and all that. I think just from a game matchup standpoint, for any sport across all sports, I think the Chiefs Bills is the best sporting event of the year, just as far as matchup goes. I think these two teams, I think the chess match between these two teams every time they play is fascinating. You just see these teams really try to lock in for this matchup, especially, and it was fun. It was really fun to watch these teams go back and forth, and this Kansas City team has a lot more explosiveness, like we've said the last few weeks this season. They were explosive at times in the offense. I thought Mahomes made some awesome plays in this game, but they also had some really bad plays. And I think the part of it we have to look at is the Buffalo defensive side of the ball, which we have criticized a lot this season and said that there are places that this team can be beat. And you look at this defensive line, and Greg Russo and Joey Bosa, I thought, were really impactful this game. And then we really especially criticized the secondary. And it's the two young guys in the secondary, Maxwell Harrison coming up with that interception, and this Cole Bishop in safety, 23-year-old safety. He had 4 pass breakups in this game, 1 tackle for loss. I thought he was absolutely awesome. And, if these young guys in the secondary for Buffalo are going to make that much of an impact, then yeah, I think that they can beat anybody in the NFL, because that's probably their biggest weakness heading into this week.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it kind of just feels like the Bills said, when they lost the AFC Championship game, what are we? Because I think conventional wisdom tells you just try and be as good of a team as possible. Don't focus on who your opponent's going to be, because ultimately you don't know who it's going to be. You gotta win games. And if you try to build your team to beat someone, you might not even play them into playoffs. I think the Bills finally just said, let's build a little bit to beat the Chiefs. Let's try and focus on this a little bit, getting the fast corner. And Joey Bosa, I mean, I don't know if they put him on a higher snap count or what, but he felt like he had his best game in a Bills uniform. I remember, I didn't think about this until now, but he was, if you remember, there was a playoff game between the Chargers and the Jaguars, that kind of famous blown lead where Joey Bosa absolutely lost his mind at Jawan Taylor false starting every single play. Like he I think got flagged at one point. So that's an interesting little rematch, I guess, although Taylor got banged up in this game. And that's another part, is just the Chiefs have offensive line injuries.
They have offensive line injuries, but they did struggle in the first half. Bosa had Taylor spinning around a little bit in the first half, and I just thought it was a really impressive game from the line of scrimmage of Buffalo. And then, like I said, those secondary players did step up and make some big plays. I'll be honest, though, like all that said, I thought Buffalo did control a lot of this game. Mm-hmm. I was convinced Kansas City was going to win after that 4th and 17 play.
Yeah, of course.
As soon as that happened, I was like, all right, this is over. They're going to score
Even
here.
the missed field goal, it felt like there's only 20 seconds left, no timeouts, but I don't know. Feels like they got a shot.
Oh, the missed field, I wasn't even thinking about it at that time. I thought once the interception happened and they got the one first down, it was over. But it was also one of those things like, oh, there's a chance still.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it was definitely a flawed game from Kansas City. I thought that they didn't seem equipped to handle Buffalo's line of scrimmage, and then one of those things, kind of what we said in the pregame thing, like it hadn't been the best Josh Allen season so far through the first 8 games or 7 games. Are they kind of just waiting to deploy him when it matters most? Because his best games by far this season have been Kansas City and Baltimore. And he was electric again in this game, and he's 10 yards of completion and really just kind of diced this team with Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, and the running backs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and on the flip side, like Mahomes not being able to run, only 1 rush for 5 yards. That's been a big part of their game. They didn't let him do that. And Mahomes, he took a beating though. Some of those hits, I mean, he took some like Mahomes is not going to be as healthy as he usually is at the end of the year. Like his typical strategy, protect himself until the playoffs. That just hasn't been what they've been able to do this year. And now they're 5-4. And I mean, you look at it, so they have a bye week, which might be good for them to rest up. But then you have the Broncos and the Colts, their next 2 games. You still have another. You have both Broncos games on the schedule. You have another Chargers game. The Texans. Well, Stroud should be back by then, I would hope. And then Cowboys and Raiders. Those should be wins. But I mean, the playoffs is not a given. You assume they'll get in, but the division feels like they're going to have to probably sweep Denver if they're going to get it done, and probably win that second Chargers game too. I mean, you would assume.
Yeah, I mean, they're in that no margin for error standpoint, so they're looking up at the teams in front of them. I still think it's gettable because this Chargers team still feels very up and down. They didn't have the most convincing week, and this Denver team just baffles me. But there's no margin for error, and there's good teams on their schedule. I mean, there is, like, outside the Titans and Raiders, there is no convincing, like, there is no for sure win on the schedule outside of that. They're playing the first place Kansas City Chiefs schedule for a reason, and it's going to be tough.
Right. There's games they'll be favored. I mean, Dallas, you look at it as they'll probably win that one. They'll probably be, significant favorites. Houston, they'll probably win that one. But you're right. Those are, Mahomes throws a 100-yard pick six in that game, they'll lose, right? Like there's that margin for error.
Exactly. I mean, look, those just feel like games that still anything could happen. Like, Houston's defense could cause as much problems as Buffalo did today. Dallas's offense can cause as much problem as, teams have had against Kansas City in the past. Like, yeah, they'll be favored pretty heavily in those games, but like those are 2 still fringe-ish playoff teams to me. It's not a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. That being said, Chiefs were favorites to win the Super Bowl entering this week. They lose to the team that was second highest odds to win the Super Bowl. It's not a disaster either. No. Where we have Buffalo, who, I mean, again, I think after week 1, we said they kind of have to be the favorites, beating the Ravens. The Chiefs don't look as good. Again, Chiefs don't look as good. Are we, if you get one pick to, right now, is it Buffalo in the AFC?
Well, I think we're overlooking the New England Patriots here just a little bit.
Okay, sure. But I mean, there's a lot of teams. The Colts are a team, but I think
Mhm.
Buffalo, I mean, you have to at least consider.
Absolutely. I think Buffalo and Kansas City still have had the highest highs of any team in the
Mhm.
AFC. I mean, obviously Indianapolis has lit up a bunch of teams this season, but those two teams still feel pretty convincing. And if I were to bet on an AFC championship game, it's probably this one. Not knowing the matchups obviously plays a part in that. But yeah, I think that they look really good at their best. And this James Cook rushing attack has been absolutely dominant this season. And then you still have Josh Allen, who's the MVP of the league. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all problematic. And if they're going to fix this defense on the fly with these young guys in the secondary, absolutely, the sky's the limit. Super Bowl is the ceiling.
Have you thought at all about a potential situation of, oh, look at Colts get the 1 seed, Patriots have the 2 seed, things are going great, and the 7 seed Kansas City Chiefs go into Foxborough round 1. Any thoughts there?
Well, all I hear is that we're hosting a playoff game. I'll be happy.
Okay, I think you're happy now. I think if we get to that point, you'll be less happy.
Yeah, probably.
You might just end on to sign on podcast even earlier.
Yeah, just no, not even a wild card round. We're just going.
Yeah. Kyle, well, we can talk your team, I guess. I don't think this is too early. Falcons, Patriots, the only on the sideline game of the week, before the on the sideline bowl next week, when the Patriots play the Buccaneers. This was a game that felt like New England kind of had in the bag. All of a sudden, Atlanta outscores the Patriots 9-0 in the fourth quarter. They did not outscore them 10-0 due to a missed extra point late. The Falcons did get one more chance. Ended up punting the ball away, which it was 4th and 20, so you kind of get it. But also, like, it was almost conceding the game, punting it away there. So it was weird. A couple turnovers here from Drake May, but also still a lot of really good stuff here. And even when New England doesn't necessarily play their best football, able to win and improve to 7-2.
Yeah. I mean, if this is a bad Drake May performance, then a lot of things I think are still going right. So
Yeah.
I think that is something to put in perspective for a year 2 quarterback. It wasn't his best. He made some mistakes, sailed the ball in the interception. But yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely a learning thing. And, I think it's still one of those things where if you go earlier in the season or even last year, the Patriots probably lose this game for a variety of reasons. But they managed to pull it out and get a win because the defense played well in the second half. Anytime, basically, except for the last scoring drive, Atlanta had to go to the full field, they weren't scoring. And I thought that was really impressive. But, you look at this, the big thing for me in this game was they had the ball with about 40 seconds left at the 40. They get a 10-yard gain to get it to midfield. And then you have the fumble up 21-7. And it would have been 21-7. It was 21-7 with 30 seconds left at midfield, going to try and get points before the half and getting the ball back at the start of the second half. And they fumble, and it goes all the way back down to the 6-yard line, recovered all the way back down to the 6-yard line. So Atlanta scores, and all of a sudden that 21-7 lead at the half, or even 24-7 lead at the half, flips to 21-14. And then that's where you go in at the half. They recovered well, got a field goal, but it was a pretty ugly second half at that point for New England's offense. One of the, that was probably their worst half of football offensively in some time. So definitely some things to tweak. But like I said, I'm happy. I'm perfectly happy winning ugly if the Patriots have to win ugly a few times this season. Definitely a lot to work on, especially offensive line, pass progressions and stuff like that. They can definitely get a lot better in those spots.
Yeah, feels like I saw Christian Gonzalez got banged up. What's the deal there?
He got landed on. I don't really know exactly how, like, the extent of it, but like it just felt like I think he was tackling somebody and then he kind of flipped over on him. So we'll see if his shoulder and all that's okay.
Okay, gotcha. It seemed like we talked about Patriots will probably do a good job at limiting Bijan Robinson. They did. I mean, he still had 50 yards receiving, but rushing only 46 yards on 3.8 yards per carry. Drake London, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. Drake London just has those games sometimes where, like, oh yeah, he's like a ridiculously good player. That seems like if you only have one guy on him, he'll just find a way to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I got to be honest with Michael Penix, man. Like, I'm fully biased because I was just frustrated watching the second half of this game. But I really don't know what level of quarterback he is without these two guys. He had like, not only did we drop multiple interceptions in this game, he had 2 or 3. I think London and Robinson combined for like 5 one-handed catches in this game. And I mean, London just was jumping over everyone for touchdowns. I don't know how he kept ending up with Marcus Jones matched up on him, our smallest corner. And he just kept jumping over guys for touchdowns. And he was incredible. Robinson out of the backfield catching the ball, I thought was really good. Although I think the Patriots did a really good job of just tackling him in open field situations. But yeah, it was frustrating watching those two guys just do the same thing over and over again. But yeah, it was a good performance for them.
Gotcha. Any other thoughts on this one, or ready to move? I guess John Parker Romo, not an ideal revenge game.
No, not an ideal revenge game. Got cut in the offseason, and got to make your.
That's a legitimate revenge thing. Of like, they didn't want me, and then you just completely blow it, and like it's like the meme of like the haters said I couldn't do it, and they were right. Honestly, great call from the haters.
Great call from the haters. Yeah. Mike Vrabel's the hater.
Yeah, I think so. Let's move on. A couple of surprise games. I guess we can go there. Let's go Panthers Packers, who, again, on the previous show, I think we both were saying like this feels disrespectful, 13.5 points. The Panthers have played decent football. I get that they don't have the firepower offensively to throw down the field and win in a shootout, but they can win ugly. They've won 5 games. They've won as many as the Packers have now, albeit they have 2 more losses as well than the Packers. But Bryce Young, 102 yards in this game, but some of those were in the important stretch toward the end. Some odd decisions from Jordan Love pushing the ball down the field when maybe he didn't have to. Rico Dowdle, a big game. Also, Rico Dowdle on point. Kyle, Key and Peele had an impact in this game because Rico Dowdle does the 2 pump celebration after the touchdown, gets flagged for it. That leads to a missed extra point. The Packers then are only down 7 instead of 8. They tied a game because of this. For a while, I'm like, is a Key and Peele sketch going to get the Packers a win here? Ultimately, though, it did not happen.
Yeah. That one's been going around the league. I'm surprised they even flagged it to begin with. Definitely a weird game. Like, I don't know. The Packers, they've had 2 pretty dumb losses this season, and I don't think they necessarily even played that badly in this game, but they just made some really crucial mistakes at big points. Obviously, the Jordan Love one is the one that's talked about the most. But yeah, between that and the Panthers' offensive line and Rico Dowdle, who, like, for whatever it's worth, he's had like 3 of the most awesome running back games this season. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he did his thing today, and that was really the difference. So it was a really, really solid Panthers performance. And for whatever it's worth, this team is now 5-4. They are going to be in the hunt all of a sudden. They have a favorable schedule because of that NFC South situation, and because that they were in the 4th place schedule bracket. So they still got the Saints twice on their schedules. That's probably going to get you to 7 wins. And it's not easy after that because everyone in your picture is basically a playoff contender, maybe outside Atlanta, but 7 wins at that point, maybe scrap together another game like this or 2, and you're in the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, you beat the Panthers again. If you can beat the Falcons again, and then beat the Saints twice, there's 8. I mean, at 49ers, I mean, that's the team we're looking at as one of the playoff. You win that game, 9-8 with a tiebreaker over the Niners, that might be what it takes. Although got the Bears to worry about. Michael with a super chat saying they flagged it because it's the Panthers. Kyle, do you believe that? Do you think there is a league-wide conspiracy to keep the Panthers down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This has been a thing since since the early 2000s. I think I remember Jake Delhomme losing in Super Bowls, so it's probably been back since then.
Yeah, they didn't have to flag that kick out of bounds. Could have just let it go.
Exactly. Yeah, they didn't need to do that.
I think so. The Packers are the most frustrating team because it feels like they should be really good, and they keep having these the tie and both of their losses have been just incredibly frustrating for them. And again, I think the Panthers are an underrated team. I think they're a solid team. This is still, if you want to be a championship contender, this is a team that you should at least win against. And they weren't able to do it. And like Bryce Young threw an end zone interception in this game. It's not like every bounce went their way. But yeah, and also, I mean, it should be mentioned that on a 4th down and 8, Jordan Love scrambling out, trying to make something happen. It's one of those hilarious plays where he throws it and then on the screen, it just pans up, and there's only a Panthers defender. There is not even a Green Bay player on screen. It was Mike Jackson who just dropped it. He would have had there was one offensive lineman down there. So it's like, I think he probably breaks, is able to avoid that and get a pick six. Ultimately, he drops it. Like, that would have been iced the game right there had that been intercepted. So, honestly, this could have been worse for Green Bay.
Yeah. No, it definitely could have. So, I don't know. Like, we saw this team play Pittsburgh, and they looked excellent, and all of a sudden we were all the way back in, and we saw this team play Lions week 1, and we thought that team was the team to beat, and then they drop a couple duds like this. So, got the Eagles next week. That's a big game too. I mean, if this team plays its best against its best opponents, that's still a way to win a lot of games and potentially make the Super Bowl. But, we would love to see this team establish some consistency for sure.
They have a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. So Eagles, then you get the Giants, but they still play the Vikings twice. They'll play the Bears twice. The divisional game's never easy. And you have another Lions game, the Broncos and the Ravens. I mean, that's tough to try and rack up some wins here. So again, dropping this one, dropping the Browns one, like that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, those are 2 games you expect to win on your schedule, and they didn't. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this team responds.
Yeah, the entire NFC North separated by a game and a half. That tie, I mean, we all said, Matt LaFleur, why are you playing for the tie here? I mean, that's kind of what's saving them right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really does.
Yeah. Again, good. We didn't talk enough about the Panthers. Just in general, good win for them. Again, I don't know if this is a playoff team, but they're in it. As I said, they'll be in the hunt graphic, and now they're definitely in the hunt graphic.
Yeah, I mean, they're the 9 seed right now. There's 9 teams, or there's 10 teams at 500 or above, and they're one of those 10 teams. So they're playing for the 7 seed. San Francisco keeps finding ways to win. Detroit's still in that hunt. Chicago won today. So it's not going to be easy, but they are very much in the mix right now, and so we'll see how they continue to play.
Kyle, let's talk about maybe the game of the year. The Chicago Bears blow a game that they should have won easily and then win it anyway. The Bears, so the Bears are up 14 points late in the game. There's it's under 3 minutes left in the game. They're up 14, and Joe Flacco throws what appears to be a pick six. It still was an interception. It just wasn't a pick six. So the Bears have the ball 2.5 minutes on 1st down and 10 with up 14 points. They end up going 3 and out. The Bengals score quickly to make it a 7-point game. They hit the onside kick. The ball didn't even go 10 yards, but it bounces off of a blocking Chicago player. They score another touchdown. And since they did the math thing of going for 2, they actually take the lead by a point. But then it's Colston Loveland with a couple big plays. Caleb Williams has a big scramble down the stretch, and they are able to rebound. The Bears end up winning on a late touchdown because they tried for a field goal to get in field goal range. Colston Loveland makes the play and then breaks 2 tackles, runs all the way in for a touchdown. This was unbelievable.
Unbelievable game indeed. We are just going to have a documentary, I think, of the Joe Flacco Cincinnati Bengals era, because these 4 games, I mean, 3 of them have been absolutely bonkers, and he still played the Packers pretty well too. This has just been insane. They've had the 3 craziest games of the year in the 3 back-to-back weeks, and they're 1-2 in the games. But, we just need a documentary on this Joe Flacco experience and what we're getting here. If you just look at the numbers for Chicago, their offensive numbers, 47 points doesn't seem to even do them justice. It feels like they should have had 407 points. They had 283 rushing yards on 7.6 yards per attempt. They had 293 passing yards and 8.2 yards per attempt. I guess the question is, would you rather have Caleb Williams, the receiver, or quarterback right now?
Yeah, because he had the Bears had 3 different. The Bears had 4 players throw passes in this game. They had a 2 quarterback set, which, by the way, if Tyson Bagent is out wide, maybe he's going to throw it. That's maybe something to look at, Cincinnati. How did you get fooled on that? DJ Moore and Cole Kmet also threw passes. Caleb Williams caught 2 of those passes, one of them for a touchdown. I'd rather have him play quarterback, but yeah, I thought Caleb Williams played really well in this game. Even some tough plays he had to make. He missed some throws too, but this is what you sign up for when you draft Caleb Williams first overall.
Exactly. And look, I think even with his up and down career so far, which is still a very early career, I think people keep forgetting. He has shown a propensity, and I think that's why you continue to talk yourself into Caleb Williams, the prospect, to absolutely dominate bad defenses. And he absolutely did that today. And the hope is that he can continue to get better against good defenses, and then you find that good quarterback in there, that good prospect. But I mean, this game, yeah, I mean, there's almost 1,100 total yards in this game. It was just absolutely nuts. Joe Flacco threw for 470 yards. How much do you think he's icing? 10 yards per attempt. 10 yards per attempt. Like, how much do you think he's icing his shoulder after this game?
Whose shoulder is more worn out, him or Yamamoto's?
Ah, that's a good one.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Yamamoto couldn't even lift the World Series MVP trophy. Just struggling to do that.
The Bengals had 46 rushing yards and 449 passing yards. This was all just, and I mean, like, again, we're saying Flacco, but like, obviously T. Higgins and Jamar Chase deserve like a ton of this. I mean, the catch T. Higgins made for a touchdown was one of the best catches of the season. I mean, there was no defense played in this game.
No. And I think that's the frustrating thing for the Bears is like this defense continues to not look consistent, and you know what? Maybe the Cincinnati offense is just good, and like that's they're going to do this to teams because all their games have been crazy. Sooner or later, you would like to see this team establish some consistency.
What about like Jamar Chase and AJ Brown trade of some degree? You know that they would both want to trade teams.
AJ Brown is on the best team in the NFC right now, and he's like, you know, Joe Flacco, he's just throwing the ball. He's just giving targets over here. You know, if he wants to throw me some, you know, I'll go over there.
I think so. I think like if they both could trade, like if players could agree to trade, I think that's what would happen.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That would be the funniest outcome for AJ Brown in all this.
yes, it would. Speaking of funniest outcome, we saw the John Fox challenge, which, if you don't remember, there was a few years back, John Fox challenge, the most iconic challenge of all time, in my opinion. John Fox thought his team scored a touchdown. He throws the challenge flag. It turns out his running back fumbled before crossing the goal line, and so it was a fumble. The other team got the ball touchback. We saw a similar thing play out here with Zach Taylor. He challenges thinking that maybe it's a fumble, and that the Bengals would get the ball. Instead, it's ruled a touchdown. So instead of having first and goal at the 1, the Bears got a touchdown, which ended up being a big deal in this game. So that was funny.
Yeah, been a tough year for Zach.
It has. You know, 3 or 4 more of these years, and he might have to worry about losing his job.
Yeah, sooner or later, the Bengals will start asking for changes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're not gonna. Hey, you can't miss the playoffs like 5 years in a row around here. Okay.
not in Marvin Brown's house.
Right. Exactly. There's so much of this game. I feel like we're leaving a ton out. But Colson Loveland has a huge day. I mean, that's a big deal, right? I mean, a lot of talk about Tyler Warren and everything. Hey, maybe freaking out because another player had a good first half of the season. Colson Loveland's a good player. He's a good prospect. He's going to be a good player for the Bears.
Yeah, no, I think he is a good prospect too. He had a good thing. And then 7th round pick, Kyle Monagai. Great name, Kyle. He has a huge day too in the backfield. I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody on this team that wanted yards got him. Like they had an absolutely awesome day.
Yeah. So the Bears, 5-3, keeping pace, only a half a game out now, first place. So interesting stuff there. Any final thoughts on this game, or ready to move on?
No, we can move on.
Okay, yeah. Crazy stuff. Let's go to Colts Steelers. The Steelers find a way, right? The game that ends up being a 1-score game. It was not that way for most of it. The Colts, I think, scored a field goal with like 10 seconds left to then try for an onside kick, and then if they got it, they could then go for a Hail Mary. Turnovers was the story of the game. The Steelers they lost 1 fumble. The Colts lost 3 fumbles, and Daniel Jones threw 3 interceptions, and they came in a myriad of ways. I mean, there was like deflected pass interceptions. There was a bad read on Daniel Jones for one of the picks. There was, fumbles from several different players. The offensive line getting beat handedly. I mean, the Steelers pass rush fully showed up in this game. It was just one of those Steelers games, right?
It literally is down to a T. I mean, it's 313 yards for the Colts to 187 for the Steelers. It's the Colts were 11 for 19 on third and fourth down efficiency. The Steelers were 5 of 14 on third and fourth down efficiency. The yards per play is what it is. All of it, the Colts were more efficient in the red zone, but of course the difference is that the turnover margin is 6-1. So just absolutely bizarre that the Steelers keep getting away with these kind of games. But, eventually there is going to be a bit of a skill to winning these turnover margins and taking care of the ball in these situations, because they've done it a few times against teams that are also in the mix for these playoff positions that they need. They have 2 crucial wins by dominating the turnover margin. So sooner or later, you got to give them credit for that. And I think they definitely deserve it for doing it again in this game, in a game they really needed.
Yeah. I mean, the criticism of the Steelers and how they're built is so they're built on the big plays defensively. And then once you get to the playoffs, you're going to play a team that is probably good at protecting the football. And also, you can't do that 4 weeks in a row. So maybe you'll work for a bit, but is it going to? And I think that's why I'm not expecting, if the Colts and Steelers play each other in the playoffs, I'm still picking the Colts to win probably because of the turnover thing. But I don't feel as good about it as I would have heading into this week. I think we were both kind of I like the Colts a lot in this thing. I thought the Colts were going to move the ball consistently. So I thought the Colts would win because of their offense. So the fact that they lost that way is what's surprising. I don't know. I think the Colts are fine. This is the first really bad week we've seen from the Colts all season. And again, they turned the ball over 6 times. That has to be fixed. But a ton of those were just great Steelers plays. So I'm kind of I still think they're okay, but definitely a disappointing loss.
Yeah, definitely a disappointing loss. You still have this huge gap for the division as far as that goes and all that. So you're still fine. Although it does shrink a little bit. Jacksonville does win, and it makes it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, that 1 seed feels like it'd be a huge deal for Indianapolis this season. And now you're letting teams back into the mix for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. For the Colts, they play the Falcons, and then the week after they play the Chiefs. That's at the time we were thinking that was going to be for the 1 seed. Now it feels a lot more open than that. But But yeah, it's a tough loss. But again, I try to not freak out too much when a team has their worst loss of the season. Just you can't give a team too much credit when they have their best win of the season.
For sure. What do you think of this take here that is Jaylen Warren is better than Jonathan Taylor in the chat?
I don't know. I think probably Jonathan Taylor because I've seen him play long. I don't know. I would probably put Jonathan Taylor over Tyler Warren, but it's hard to. Oh wait, Jaylen Warren. I see. I got it confused. No, that's not. No.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
And I don't know if the game where he had 1.9 yards per carry is the one to sway me.
He got 2 touchdowns though. That's all that matters.
He did. He got into the end zone. He's. I guess that if you're doing that.
Touchdown vulture. Here we go.
and running back wins.
Yeah, running back wins. Yeah, exactly. But no, this is a big game for the Steelers, though. I do think that should be stated because they lost 2 games in a row, and they didn't look good at all in the second half of that Packers game, and they really, blew that Cincinnati game. All of a sudden, this team, which was riding high at 4-1, is at 4-3. If you're going 4-4 with the Ravens are coming and all that kind of stuff, that is the last spot you want to be in. So getting this win, getting back on track, you got to go and win a couple more of these games for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, we needed. I feel like it got kind of colder here in Florida. It was down to Kyle. It's in the 60s now. Can you believe how cold it can get? Gotta just annoy anyone who lives in up north with that one. But we need a Steelers Ravens game. December 7th is too late. I feel like once it starts to get cold, Steelers Ravens. You want one once it gets cold, and another one mid-December.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a cold spell in this next one. Although we still got end of the season, right? We still got a few weeks. December 7th and then last week.
I'm just saying, I feel I don't know, Ravens. We need once it's cold weather, Steelers Ravens. It's first day of winter is whenever the Steelers and Ravens play each other for the first time.
They're like the groundhogs for the winter.
Yeah, I think so.
I like it.
See, Kyle, once you leave the show, you're not going to get these important takes anymore.
Yeah, no, you won't hear that anywhere else. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. Impressive win for the Steelers. Let's go to another impressive win. The Minnesota Vikings upsetting the Detroit Lions and kind of flipping the NFC North on its head. Everyone kind of thought, okay, Lions look all the way back, but all of a sudden, JJ McCarthy plays really well. Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson both made plays. I know the numbers aren't overwhelming. I mean, McCarthy only had 143 yards, but I thought he played well. Also had a big rushing touchdown in the mix. And the Minnesota Vikings go into Detroit, not an easy place to win, and come out victorious.
Yeah, and I thought, like you said, I thought McCarthy made some well-timed throws. I thought he did some big plays in this game. And then a lot of it was the Minnesota defense, which, we talked a lot about how Detroit had kind of had this Brian Flores defense's number, and the pressure just felt so overwhelming in this game. Goff took 5 sacks, and it felt a lot worse at times because he just felt constantly under pressure, and it just threw a whole wrench in what Detroit's offense usually does and what they usually want to do, which is play on script all the time. So really frustrating game for them. And I know that they ended up with 24. That's still not a terrible day. And I think Goff didn't have that necessarily terrible day either, but it just, the pressure really felt like it was there from the onset, and it was internal pressure, blitzing up the middle that really felt like a difference for this Minnesota defense.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it's one of those games where you look at the box score and you're like, oh wait, it was only that? Because I feel like it felt like it was like a pretty good offensive game, and even like 27-24 shows that. But the overall numbers are not anything nothing special for either side.
No, it isn't. Obviously there's a couple big plays, special teams wise, I think, in there and stuff like that. So, and then a block field goal, but like overall, it was just a really, really well, really gritty Minnesota win. And another team that really felt like it needed to get back on track too. So, does this kind of spark their season and turn it around after 2 straight losses, and another one that was an ugly loss against Los Angeles, and then a big response to follow.
Yeah, and you look at JJ McCarthy now. I think I kind of forgot that he only played 2 games before getting injured. I think I thought it was kind of more than that. I think, but no, he played the Bears game where he did not play well for 3 quarters. Played great for a 4th quarter. Did not play great against the Falcons. Now has this Lions game. It's weird because his career high in passing yards per game now is sitting at 158. So might need to at some point see what he does if he has to throw more. But I mean, for a guy who'd only played 2 games, I feel like people were almost writing him off a little bit. Seeing him come in, play well in this situation, like the Vikings have another tough schedule. Like, will they be able to get into the playoffs? Again, they're a team that's in the hunt now. It's going to be difficult, but playing the Ravens next week, that kind of feels like a couple of cornered animals going at each other, right? It's a double cornered animal game.
Double cornered animal. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of corners in this room. Yeah. There is a huge opportunity for them there, because then they have that, and then they have the Bears still on their schedule, which is another team they're competing with for these playoff spots. So, huge games there for Minnesota, and we'll see if they can continue it, because like you said, this team had been some really frustrating the last 3 or 4 weeks. They're able to pull out this win and beat one of the teams that we thought was a contender in this conference.
Yes, we have. As someone's mentioning in the chat, yes, there was a very important blocked field goal in this game. Lions were gonna put them down just 4 points. It gets blocked and returned a long way, which sets up the Vikings to kick a field goal that allows them to go up 2 scores. Also, earlier, the Lions were down a score, and then there was a fumble. David Montgomery, I believe it was Montgomery who fumbled, that ultimately allowed the Vikings to score and put it up 2 scores as well. So a couple mistakes there from Detroit, and hey, sometimes that's all it takes.
Yep. And they stopped the run really well too in this game.
Yeah.
I know that Detroit fell behind, so they had to pass more as it is, but they were able to limit a lot of approaches from Gibbs and Montgomery as a whole.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. A couple of really interesting games. Then we have still stuff to talk about with the other handful. Broncos Texans. This was the game that it was a good game. It just, there wasn't a ton of crazy stuff happening. So it almost kind of got lost in the shuffle with all the craziness happening in these other games. ultimately the biggest story has to be CJ Stroud getting injured in this game. It was a late slide play, but it wasn't how you typically expect a concussion on a late slide, where he got hit kind of in the side. It was a clean play, and then his head hit the ground, and that's what caused the concussion. So hopefully he ends up being okay. Davis Mills came in. Both offenses were struggling throughout this game. Ultimately, Bo Nix leads the drive at the end to get the victory. Two really good defenses, maybe the best two defenses in the league. This was the opposite of the Bears-Bengals game. But the Denver Broncos, 7-2, tied for best record in football right now.
7-2. I mean, they've scored 58 points their last 3 fourth quarters. I mean, just a absolutely insane team right now, the way that they're playing. And it really comes down to the end of these games because, again, it's another Bo Nix game where, I think he started this game 1 for 7 for like 3 yards and an interception and just looked lost and defeated. And then all of a sudden, it's like if he gets the ball in his hands at the end of these games, he is coming up big and made some big-time plays late, big-time throws. And all of a sudden, Denver Broncos sneak out of this game with a victory when it looked like they were dead to right. And yeah, really, really good game for Denver again. And now this team's 7-2, despite everything that, they look. This is a very thoroughly unconvincing 7-2 team that has won 6 games in a row, has beaten the Eagles, the Texans. Like, yeah. I don't understand a lot of it.
Yeah, very weird. Probably should have beaten the Colts if it wasn't for that, that mistake late. It's very, very confusing because you're right. I still feel like, I did my tier list and I didn't put them in the top tier, even though they're 7-2, because I'm like, I still just feel like I need to see you be able to pass the ball down the field consistently, which they just don't do. And that's just, and Houston wasn't going to be the game you were going to do that, because Houston plays so good defensively. They're so good rushing the passer. They defend down the field so well. So like that's fine. But like that's what kind of that's my holdup right now. But yeah, you're right. I'm like they're 7-2. Like and they're playing the Raiders on Thursday. They have a great chance to go 8-2 before their matchup against the Chiefs. First matchup against them of the season. Like it feels like this is this is. In some ways, not the dream scenario because their offense hasn't been quite as great as you would hope for. But again, they're 7-2. Like they could win the 1 seed. Like that's probably gonna be tough in their division. 2 games against the Chiefs left, but like it's possible.
It's definitely possible. And they have an opportunity to do it here. And I think the big acquisitions they made defensively to even enhance this defense, which was awesome last year. Have really felt like they've paid off. I think those 2 guys have been really good in Greenlaw and Hufanga. And getting those guys in this mix too, I think just, I think the defense just naturally itself is going to ebb and flow. It's not going to be as dominant as it was last season at times, but just having those guys in there, I think they just make impact. So I really like that. And, it was kind of a bummer just in the end. I thought Stroud actually started this game pretty well. And I think the last few weeks they had figured out a lot offensively in Houston. And, I was kind of looking forward to seeing him play in this game because I thought he started well. And like I said, they've been playing well and kind of a bummer not to see him finish that game out.
It is because I do wonder if this result is different if he's out there. Now, Jacksonville and Tennessee, kind of 2 games, they're 3-5. I mean, those are must wins at this point. And if Davis Mills has to be out there, like I don't know if you're beating Jacksonville in that situation. And then after that stretch, it's Bills, Colts, Chiefs, and you play the Colts again. I mean, it's a rough situation right now for Houston. This might just not be their year.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're 3-5 right now. They're the 9 seed. You still got to catch Jacksonville, Kansas City, Los Angeles, or above, and you got Baltimore chomping at the bits and. We keep talking about the Cincinnati thing. Like Joe Burrow is not going to be out forever either. Like that team could get back in the mix themselves, even at 3-6. It still feels like a long shot, but that team scores on anybody. So, we'll see going down the line. But it just feels like if I were to rank those teams now that are on the outside, Kansas City, Houston, and Baltimore, I think I have the Texans 3rd of 3 pretty confidently.
Yeah. Well, let's go to their division rival, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pull off what has to be the first ever 1-point overtime victory due to the new rules being in place, making that possible. This is one of those games where it's like, okay, everyone on the late window is watching Bills Chiefs. That's like, I think we even said on the previous show that might as well just be a primetime game with the Saints Rams, and that game's a blowout. But then Jaguars Raiders ended up being pretty good. It's almost like it's like when your dad like picks the movie and then ends up actually being it's like, oh, Master and Commander was pretty good.
Yeah, that's very true. I didn't get a ton of eyes on this because of it, so I had to catch up on some highlights and just another one of those wild games. I mean, this game, it really was kind of a dud until the fourth quarter, and then it turned into an awesome game. It's like the ending of the movie was awesome, more so than the entire movie.
Right.
But yeah, these teams absolutely went off in the fourth quarter. Made this huge comeback, the Jaguars, and they're able to get that send it to overtime, and then, like you said, came down to the new rules, and Raiders are able to answer with the touchdown, but can't get the 2-point conversion. So pretty interesting overall for sure. Brock Bowers has an awesome game. Geno Smith with his best game of the season, which they really needed. And kind of a gut punch there for the Raiders, but a huge win for Jacksonville, who, like we just said, there's a lot of really good teams right now in the AFC chasing them because they're in that driver's seat for the playoff spot. And they definitely need to win games like this.
Yeah, felt for the Raiders who get Brock Bowers back, and he was such a force in this game. They treated him the way Flacco was treating Higgins and Chase. They were constantly throwing him the ball, and he was making it work. They kind of felt like they needed this one if they were going to have a chance. Now at 2-6, it feels. That I was thinking like when it looked like they might win. Okay, is it 3-5? I guess you're not out of it necessarily. Probably out of it at 2-6. Huge win for Jacksonville, though. You're right. I mean, they're another team that kind of had not been playing great as of late. They, after beating the Chiefs and having this incredible win, they lose to Seattle, lose to the Rams. Those are two good teams, but they also lost 35-7 against the Rams. So losing to the Raiders would have just been a disaster. Them being able to pull off the victory, I think they missed Travis Hunter, especially on the defensive side of the ball in this game. But able to ultimately find a way to get the victory. Yeah.
No, I think it's a really good point. They still got a lot of talent. Parker Washington comes up with big plays in this game. And, I thought Trevor Lawrence also played pretty well. So really good stuff from them. And, so we have a question in the chat. How'd Pete not run the ball with Genty?
Oh, no.
Yeah. When have we ever seen Pete Carroll not run the ball in a big moment? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, if it's referring to a 2-point play, I mean, the play worked. It was a tipped pass. I mean, they had a guy open. I mean, that's the they almost had it. So, I mean, this was an impressive loss from the Raiders. Like they showed up, they showed that they're still an NFL team. This looked like the kind of team that we thought I think see more of like early on this year.
Yeah. A lot of injuries with the offensive personnel, especially the skill guys. I think that played a big part. And then the offensive line did look a lot better this week. I thought they played well, or at least well enough to help them win. But, it's definitely a frustrating season for sure.
Are you buying into Jacksonville right now? Again, the record is the record. They're in contention. They play Houston. We'll see Stroud's health there. Then the Chargers. They do get some easy games here still. Arizona, Tennessee. They play the Jets. Play the Titans twice actually. So still have to play the Colts twice as well. But they have a chance here to get into the postseason, and they have an important tiebreaker over Kansas City if it does come down to that.
Yeah. No, I mean They have a chance for sure. I don't know how much I'm buying them just on paper, but it also is one of those things where, like you said, you bring up that schedule. Like if you beat the Titans twice, you beat the Jets, all of a sudden you're at 8 wins there, and you should be favored against the Cardinals. That would be 9. If Stroud's not ready to go next week, you should beat the Texans. That could be 9 or 10. And then all of a sudden, the numbers are what they are, and you're in the mix.
Yeah. So I still don't know if either one of us are buying them as like a team that can do real damage in the postseason, but hey, I mean, in Liam Cohen's first season, this has been a success so far.
Absolutely. No, I thought he's done a good job. I don't think they have quite, exactly what he wants around him, but I think that he's done a really good job with the team and the coaching. How funny would it be? We keep saying Kansas City's the team to watch in the AFC, all that kind of stuff. And how funny would it be if they just didn't make the playoffs after all that?
Yeah, it'd be good. I mean, I still think back though to what was it? I guess 2 seasons ago, where they were the last division winner to clinch. It took them till week 17 before they finally clinched the playoffs, and then they win the Super Bowl. It's like, that's just what's going to stick in my head, and that's why we can't fully can't fully count this team out. But I mean, it's in the car. Again, we're halfway through the season. This is not week 2 and they're not in a playoff spot. This is week 9.
Yeah. No, I fully expect them to make it still, but like they have one of the harder schedules of those remaining teams in the mix, so it's not going to be easy. You still give them benefit of the doubt, but like, it is bizarre to say 9 games into the season, Kansas City's not in the playoff spot.
Yeah. What injury happens to the Chiefs where, like, I'm not sure if they're going to make it now? Like, is like Mahomes, obviously, but like, is there anyone else? Like, is it like if like Rashee Rice and Worthy are going to miss like a month? Now I'm like, I don't know. This might not happen.
I think it would be, if it's not the quarterback, obviously, I think it's Rice and then probably like a Chris Jones. Yeah. Those would be the guys I think. Like, I think I'm ready to, second guess Kansas City.
Yeah, even that, I think I'm still probably like, I don't know. They're the Chiefs. They'll figure it out. Let's move on. 4 games left. Chargers Titans was the next closest. Kyle, see, I used my lock for good of locking up the Chiefs to make sure that the Bills won. You're welcome, America. Kyle, the Chargers just win by 7 instead of covering, and it was the funniest thing where I forgot I always forget what our locks are, so I check like midway through the week. I'm like, I wonder how this is going. And I think that it was when the game was close, I look up and Kyle locked the Chargers. I'm like, yep, that sounds right. That makes sense. The Chargers almost covered, but the Titans kick a field goal late to make it a 7-point game. And then the Chargers were in field goal range, but then they ran out the clock, so then you couldn't even get the cover that way. They did not want you to win this lock, Kyle.
No, 3rd and 1, and they got the 2-yard carry right before the 2-minute warning. They could have kicked a field goal and put me up 10. Obviously, there was the 4th and 2 at the Los Angeles 19. Tennessee kicks the field goal to make it a 7-point game. I would have won by 10 there too. Whatever. Screw this, man. I was on the right side of this. Chargers were a better team.
This is at least we've been picking teams that haven't even gotten close. You were essentially correct. The Chargers threw a pick 6 and the Titans had a special teams touchdown in this game. Like everything went against you to not allow you to get the lock here.
Essentially, yeah. And that is what's annoying. Like Tennessee had won a game basically that way too. And every other like when they get those sort of breaks, they are competitive. When they don't, they are not competitive. And so they got a couple good plays, and that is what it is. And outside of the pick 6, I think Herbert played really well in this game. Which is easy to say because he gave up 7 points, but he was the best runner on the team. He was the best passer on the team. You had these young guys again with Gadsden, McConkey, Johnston, 3 straight years of draft picks of pass catchers, and all 3 of them were really impactful in this game.
Yeah. It's interesting with this Chargers team who, again, they were so good through the first 3 weeks. They definitely don't seem like that. It does feel like they need to, it's just not quite as cohesive. And again, to Joe Alt injury now, once again, that's just it, right? They're a team that's not as good when they don't have both their starting tackles healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. They need those guys out there for sure.
Yeah.
And Becton, he's another good one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. Any thoughts on the Titans?
It's still, to me, like, I know we just said that, a lot of this was also the defense and special teams luck and all that stuff. But I do think the last few weeks it's still been better. It has been better since the Brian Callahan firing. Cam Ward, again, had a couple decent plays in this game, a couple not so decent plays. You're still got to figure that out with a young quarterback without a lot of help. But, I think the defense made some big plays in this game too. So it's still a very long way to go. I think that there is a lot of non-competitive players in this team.
Yeah, looking at Tankathon, it looks like they're in line right now. If the Saints, Titans, and Jets all end with 1 win, the Saints would be in line for the first overall pick. Jets right behind, and the Titans, who currently are had the 2nd overall pick, but it would drop to 3rd because the Jets have played 1 less games. So you have that to look forward to. Another high value pick, and maybe they'll trade some people too.
Yeah. Manning to New Orleans, is it happening?
We will see.
Probably not.
Probably not. Maybe
Not looking too good.
no.
Yeah.
Kyle, let's move on. 3 games left to discuss. Well, we can go to the Thursday night game. Just when it was not a good game, but that's a story in itself of, hey, all of a sudden, Miami, who we talked about, it's like, okay, they're showing some signs of life. They blew out the Falcons. They did not show signs of life in this game. Their GM got fired, and it seems like in part just because the GM didn't want to trade away anybody. Well, we'll see what happens here. I mean, the story of the game, though, is Lamar Jackson back. This Ravens team looks like the Ravens again. 28-6 victory, 4 touchdowns, no picks for Lamar. This is a dream scenario if you are a Ravens fan.
Yeah, exactly what you needed. Didn't have to take a lot of chances with him, and he played well. And exactly what you, I mean, Lamar Jackson's back's going to make this team competitive. So exactly what you expected. Another just like really frustrating Miami game. They open this game with the field goal. They're up 3-0. They force a punt, 3 and out, and it's immediately you fumble and put the ball on the 7-yard line for the Ravens. And then immediately after that, you have a big drive that results in a missed field goal. And then it's just over and over again. This team, if this team can find a way to lose a game, it's going to find it. And it's going to find it multiple times a game. They had multiple just back-breaking turnovers, turnover on downs, a missed field goal. It's another game where, I don't think they necessarily played terribly, but the score looks terrible because they didn't play well in big moments.
Yeah, it's tough. Again, I mean, this is the Tua feels like I don't, he shows a good game, then he shows a bad game. It's not working right now. To talk about Jalen Waddle getting traded. What's the most fun and least fun thing for that? I think least fun is the Chiefs, right? That's kind of both most and least fun.
Yeah. Do they even have the money to do that? I guess they probably do.
Probably be like a rental if they did.
Jalen Waddle. I'm assuming I'm not allowed to pick my team.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, but I don't think that they would trade in the division.
Probably not. I think what team really could use a receiver? Denver, Los Angeles, Chargers.
Yeah, that's good. What the Panthers?
Panthers would be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Could Seattle get in the mix there?
That would be good. Yeah, I'd like that. So someone says Titans. Honestly, I don't even disagree. That would not be a bad move.
Yeah, Titans just say, hey, let's get a good player in here, please.
Yeah, they need something on offense. He's a young enough player. Honestly, every team should be calling about Jalen Waddle.
What if it's a Jalen Waddle for Brian Thomas Jr. swap?
Ooh, I like that. What about
what if so NBA, doesn't it?
What about AJ Brown goes to Miami with a clause that he has to get targeted 10 times a game?
I don't care about your numbers, Stuart. Just throw me the ball. I care about my numbers.
Yeah, exactly. AJ Brown. If Jameis Winston was a starter somewhere, AJ Brown 100% would sign with that team.
He should. I mean, why didn't he think about that when the Giants were around? I guess.
Yeah. Well, poor AJ Brown catching a lot of strays in a week that he didn't even play football. Let's move on. 2 games left. Niners, Giants. So a game that kind of went as expected, but for the 49ers, who have had a couple of games kind of go off the rails, it does feel like they've also had a lot more of these games where it's just they play competent football. Christian McCaffrey had a good game in this one, both passing and receiving. He was their leading receiver, in fact. So that certainly helps. Brian Robinson Jr., though, had over 50 yards on just 5 carries. Both guys got into the end zone. And, Jones plays competent football again. This Giants team is just not very good. I like Jackson Dart. They don't have a lot around him. But, hey, taking care of business against a team that you should take care of business against.
Yeah, exactly. San Francisco continues to churn out these wins despite the circumstances. I didn't think the defense played awesome today. I actually thought Dart played really well at times, and I still really like him. I think he's still got his flaws. He still takes too many hits, but this athleticism, this arm talent, I think there's a lot there to get excited about when they get their talent back around him. So I think the Giants got a good one. Even if it feels like a lost season, but it's a good win for San Francisco. I thought the offense played well. Jones played, like you said, very solid. And this team, against all odds, like eventually all these guys, like I said, are going to come back for this team this season, and they're going to have Purdy and Pearsall and potentially even Ayuk later in this year too. And with all those guys, stacking up these wins now is just going to be huge going forward, because this team with those guys on the field should be the 7 seed, and the fact that they are in that spot without them, I think is huge.
Yeah, and again, I feel like we're at the point in this halfway through the season. We're at a point in the season where we're talking schedules a lot. Before too long, I'll do my playoff predictions thing where we go through all the schedules and all that stuff. But although I think we're a few weeks away from that. But they play the Rams next week. Obviously, a big game there. But then it's Cardinals, Panthers, Browns, and Titans.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 games that they're going to be favored in. You take care of business when those 4. There's your 10 wins. I mean, that's going to get you into the postseason, you would assume. So again, Panthers. That's actually a primetime game. Schedule makers kind of nailed that. That was they really went off on a limb there, and that worked out really well.
Yeah, no. I mean, they got some great games ahead, and like you said, they got those 4 games that they should win. Although the Panthers and the Bears are still on their schedule, and those are 2 teams chasing them. If they knock them down, that's even just vaulting them up further. So yeah, really, really good stuff here for the 49ers. And yeah, I mean, we'll see how it looks. And Shanahan always beats McVay, so they probably win next week.
Yeah. Didn't talk much of the Giants, but I think that's okay. I think that Giants fans might be happy about that. We like Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's good. Saints, Rams. So turns out the answer to all the Saints' problems was not throwing Tyler Shuck in the mix. Offense still kind of looks as expected. You're hoping for some bit of a spark, similar to how like when the Giants go with Jackson Dart, but just didn't really happen in this game. And again, it probably wasn't going to happen in a game like this. The Rams are just a different class of opponent. I think, all this talk we're saying about Seattle and what they're doing, and rightfully so, I think we can say the same about their division opponent, the Los Angeles Rams, who Matthew Stafford continues to have just a tremendous season. I mean, he should be in the MVP discussion. 21 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. That's absurd. If this guy can win an MVP, that puts him in the Hall of Fame. I mean, this is a really kind of important season for him, and a really strong season from him.
Yeah, really huge moment for them. And this I continue to say, I think this Nakua and Adams dynamic is really, really good. I think that's really tough for a lot of teams to game plan for. And then you still got McVay coaching all these guys. You got Stafford at quarterback. You got Kyron Williams making things happen in the backfield. It's a really good team. It's a really, really good team. I don't see a lot of flaws to their system right now.
Yeah, and
outside of when they play San Francisco.
Right. I remember when we talked about them, and it was like, I think I predicted them to make the NFC Championship game, but I was like, but I don't think they'll be the 2 seed. I think that they'll be like, the 4 seed and then just get hot in the playoffs. Kyle, they're tied for best record in the NFC. I mean, again, tough division. We know about that. They still have to play the Bucs. They still have to play the Panthers. They still have to play the Lions outside of their divisional games. Even the Falcons. Well, depends on what week you get them. It feels like a lot of tough games, a lot of competitive matchups. So you think 1 seed's going to be tough there, but like again, they're blowing teams out right now. After you had that 49ers loss, but you take that out of the equation, it's killing the Saints, killing the Jaguars, beating the Ravens 17-3, beating the Colts. Probably should have beat the Eagles if it wasn't for blocked field goals, and then destroying the Titans. It's and then beating the Texans. I mean, it's they've debatably had the most impressive first half of the season out of any team.
Yeah, I mean, not quite as many wins as the Patriots. I mean, we'll get there though.
Sure.
They check a lot of boxes for me. I'm really looking forward to seeing the second half of this team. And yeah, I think that I think there are several teams in the NFC I still think can make the Super Bowl, and they're on the list. I think them, Philadelphia, Seattle. I think the best versions of Detroit and Green Bay could still make the Super Bowl potentially. I mean, the best version of San Francisco might still be able to make the Super Bowl, honestly. Like, all those teams are in the mix. The only one, like, Tampa is still in that mix too, but, like, are they going to be healthy in time by the end of the season? We'll see.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of teams. NFC is just crazy right now. Kyle, let me know who can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you have like audio only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline Podcast. Should be available there. Again, if you missed it at the beginning of the show, this will be Kyle's last season on the Sideline podcast. Might be the last season of the podcast altogether. We'll figure that out later. But so make sure you tune in this season. Enjoy it now while we can. Kyle, do you have a couple minutes to do any baseball talk, or do you got to get out of here?
We got a couple minutes. Why not? One of the better games, obviously we can ever remember Game 7 of the World Series, brought all the drama, brought all the intrigue. Awesome game. And then, we got a couple Colt heroes out of this game as far as Muncy with the home run, Rojas with the home run, and Yamamoto just, taking the belt as the best pitcher in baseball with some awesome performances in this World Series. And, capped it off with those last 2 innings after throwing 96 pitches the day before. It's just unheard of.
That photo of him like not being able to lift the trophy, it's like the most iconic photo of all time. I feel like that's pretty great. And Will Smith with the home run in the 11th. I was thinking, I'm trying to think of the most devastating losses of the 21st century. I still think 28-3 is number 1. I think this might be number 2 because
it's got to be pretty close.
Yeah, because I mean, like you look at the Malcolm Butler one as one you think about, but the Seahawks had just won the Super Bowl the year before. I think that kind of disqualifies it. The one strike away 2 times Rangers game is certainly up there, but that was Game 6. They still had a chance to win Game 7. I think this being Game 7, 2 outs away, and then having bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth, not being able to convert. I think this is the only other one I thought of was the Pacers Game 7, just because like. You also lose Halliburton for the next year. So that also kind of hurt your, like, even next year, like, stings. But
right
at the same time, like, you were underdogs, like, and then you lost, like, the Blue Jays thought they were going to win the World Series and didn't.
Yeah, I mean, this is just harder because, like, you start this game up 3-0. You're up 4-2 with 6 outs left. And, you have Yasavage in there. And, he's another one. He was like this hero for Toronto for the way he played as the young kid in that last game, the Game 5. And he just spins one. He spins one into Muncy, and Muncy is a professional hitter, and he's going to tag that one out of there every time. And he absolutely rocketed it, and it's 4-3. You bring in Hoffman, and he's another one where, like, he has been fantastic all year, but he put a slider right over the middle of the plate, and the 9-hitter with 1 out in the World Series. We're just like, we're chomping at the bit for it to be 2 outs in the World Series, Ohtani coming up down 4-3. Like, we're all just waiting for that. And instead it's Rojas who gets the hanging slider just in the middle of the plate, and he hits it out. And it was just all that. And then still, like you said, Bichette gets the single, they load the bases, and you are millimeters away from winning a World Series, even still, but despite all that in the bottom of the 9th, because that slide just missed.
Yeah, I think if IKF like takes a bigger lead, or if he runs through it instead of slides, does he get the first get the run? I don't know. It was because Will Smith then took his foot off the plate, so it was like there was like that weird thing which that would have been the all time like mistake. And even in the 11th, Vladdy hits the double. They get him to third, like they're and then double play. I mean, that's just that's somehow the Maple Leafs do not have the most devastating Game 7 loss in Toronto anymore.
Yeah, no kidding. Although they had some bad ones.
Yeah, they just can't make it far enough to get one this devastating.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was absolutely insane the way that ended. But it's still somewhat speechless, and I do think Kiner Falefa really botched that situation because it doesn't feel like Rojas gets the ball out of his glove very well in the transition. Right. Like it feels like he's stumbling there, and it wasn't very hard hit. And the infield's in. So, like, the third baseman would essentially have to turn and run back to third base to then apply for, like, a pickoff attempt. So, in my mind, like, you should be almost halfway down the line by the time that ball's thrown. And he's just not moving from the bag at all. I thought it was really poor base running. And still, you should have beat that out. And you should slide head first, honestly, because you can use your hand to get the tag in faster. And he didn't do any of it. Everything that could have gone wrong on that play went wrong.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the Ernie Clement fly ball to left, where the outfielders collide and still make the play. I mean, that was probably the craziest like sporting event I've ever seen. I'm just like, I think that might have been number one.
It's got to be up there for me. Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple like awesome World Cup games that I think are up there. World Cup finals. I can also remember, obviously the Red Sox had some big ones in 2004. Patriots had some big ones in the Super Bowl. I think you can go to the 2010 gold medal game, USA Canada.
Sure.
For hockey. I mean, that's got to be up there too. But this is definitely up there.
Yeah, classic. That is our show, everyone. Kyle, we'll let you get going. We will be back Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to preview Week 10 and maybe the biggest preview of the season with the On the Sideline Bowl. Who will win? Patriots, Bucks. What's the line in that game? Let's do the final thing before we head out. I wonder what that is. Do you know?
It's in Tampa, so I'm gonna bet it's Tampa minus 2.5.
Oh, I think the Patriots will be favored. I was going to guess like Patriots 3.5.
Because the injuries, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, let's see. It's oh no, you're dead on the money. Buccaneers 2.5. That feels like Patriots plus points. That feels, I don't know. Maybe do I think the Patriots are better than they are? I feel like I like the Patriots here.
I guess they probably figure that it's a even game and then 2.5 for home field. But also, I think you can argue just along with it, like Tampa Bay gets the bye week. So
yeah, that's true.
Off a bye, maybe that's time. But I mean, we have to see what the injury report looks like Wednesday for sure, because there are, you're still wondering about Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, Hassan Reddick. Like if none of those guys are playing, then like bet the house on the Patriots at that point.
Well, probably don't bet the house on the Patriots.
Bet everything you own. That's how I say.
Bet a reasonable amount of money on the Patriots.
Fair.
Okay. Again, thanks for everyone for staying up late here on the East Coast, or if you're watching on the West Coast. Thanks for watching when you could be, I don't know, doing fun things on the West Coast. There's a lot of fun stuff to do there. So appreciate your support. Again, we'll get out of here. Thanks to everyone. We'll see you Wednesday, and until then, have a good one.
Peace.